So as we begin this conversation this morning on this topic, I want to start by asking each of our panelists here to give us a brief overview of how their work in the respective areas that they serve in, how does that intersect with this area of concern that we're talking about today? So start with you.
Oh, great. Thank you. And thanks to Mary Lowe for inviting me to be here. So I am not a clinician. I lead an institute that started as a research institute but has expanded to take on engagement and outreach work. So I've tried to think of ways to use my training to try to address these issues. I was trained to think about contexts and places. Those of you who have ever studied psychology might recognize the name of Urie Bronfenbrenner, who's my intellectual grandfather. And in his tradition, I've tried to think a lot about places and systems. Military and veteran families have to engage with a very complex array of systems to get what they need. Many of our programs and interventions and outreach initiatives are aimed at helping families to deal with crazy systems, and less so to try to deal with systems. Bronfenbrenner, who was a developmental psychologist very interested in the healthy growth and development of children, talked about how systems interact with each other. And he promoted an idea. He gave a name to something that I like very much. The name is wonky, but the idea, I think, is great. He called it a mesosystem. And a mesosystem is the connection between other systems. If you think about children, you can think about home and school, for example. If home and school are mutually reinforcing, you can say that's a strong mesosystem because a child is getting the same messages from both. If home and school are not mutually reinforcing, if they're giving conflicting messages, now you have a weak mesosystem. And that's very hard for children and does not really promote healthy development. And so in my work, I'm very inspired by this idea of trying to build strong mesosystems. And so in every initiative that we design, develop, and deliver, that's part of what we do. I'll give one example now, and then maybe I can give another later. We are part of a partnership with colleagues at the Center for Deployment Psychology at the Uniformed Services University, where we for years now have been training community behavioral health therapists to be better prepared to serve military-connected people. We have delivered hundreds of thousands of hours of training to thousands of providers, and we have a directory now of providers across the country who are trained and ready to serve military-connected people. We have made sure from the beginning that these providers are learning from us about military children and family members and caregivers, and we're very proud that the calls and the referrals that we get in our directory are about a third service members, about a third veterans, and a third family members. So that's just a really tiny little way that we try to connect existing systems, help them work better, and build strong mesosystems. I'll